Every patch of grass has the potential to become a skyscraper. All it needs is to be put under construction. Welcome back to yet another episode of Under Construction SA. Yes, we've missed you too. Last week we were not live. Last week we didn't have an episode due to some unforeseen circumstances. But right now we're back, and we're back with a bang. And if you haven't subscribed yet on the channel, please click down there on that subscription button. And as well, please click up there on that notification bell so that every time we drop an episode, you are notified. So today I have a very, very special guest. This guest is multi-talented. I don't even know what I'm going to say he does, because whether it's writing, whether it's rapping, whether it's producing, whether it's acting, he's all over the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you Letuka Dlamini. Letuka, welcome to Under Construction SA, and thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you for having me, Thuso.
Yeah, Letuka, we want to start off with getting to know maybe what you do, what you are about, and where you're from.
Right. No, so I'm from Soweto, Ep9 initially, but I grew up in Kempton Park. I act, I write, I direct, and I used to rap, and I still do poetry. Ultimately, that's what I do.
Wow. So what happened to the rap thing? Because I used to enjoy your raps. What happened to the raps? Why don't you rap
Thank you
anymore?
very much, my brother. It's just, I think it was time to let go. There was a new wave coming in at the time, and it was one that I think spoke a different voice to what I was used to. And so I saw that I think it's time to move on.
Funny story.
Sorry?
No, I was saying the funny story is, I remember the first time we heard of Kendrick was on our first camp in 2010. And it happened to be by you. I remember, I think you and Kuto got Kendrick from you. He brought him to the hood. And I was like, hey, this boring music. And then Kendrick later became one of the biggest artists we know. Even today, you know, Kendrick is so big. Those are some of the influences that you've had on me, and especially, on hip hop when you've spoken. And that's why I'm asking you to hide the hip hop part. Where is it? But I want to go into growing up in Soweto, right? Growing up in Soweto. For someone who has never been there or who doesn't know what it is like, give us a picture of growing up, maybe in your household and in the township of Soweto.
All right. So I think I'll put it this way. I spent only like the first 6 or 7 years of my life in Soweto, and then we moved to Kempton Park. But I'd always go back to Soweto on school holidays and stuff. And my experience was very different to people who actually lived there, because I think I had the benefit of coming out when, after a while, going back to school and such. And so I might not have a full picture of what day-to-day life in Soweto was like. However, whenever I was there for holidays, one of the things that would immediately stick out was how available everyone was. This was something that was strange where I grew up. And by available, I mean it's 10 in the morning, it's 12, it's 1, the adults are there, the children are there. Obviously, it's school holiday for the kids, but my fascination was mostly the adults. Like, I think that's when I started to realize that unemployment was a thing. It's not everybody who has a job or who goes to work and stuff. And so I wondered, what do people actually do for money? And obviously, the older you get, the more the truths set in of the situation that people are in Magasi. And it's one that I think I was always aware of after that revelation hit me, and one I've always one day dreamed to solve, because Logishi has many problems, I think, truth be told, and they seem to grow daily,
So since you speak about Logishi and solving the problems, what are the problems that you personally have identified, Logishi, that you want to solve and how?
All right. So like I said, one of the things that stuck out was availability, which as you grow translates to unemployment. and opportunity. And so you start looking into what causes that outside of the obvious, which is, bad governance, and that sort of thing that we're dealing with as a country at large. But the hopelessness of some of the people legacy, I think, is what, for me, is the biggest concern. People no longer believe I can get work. People don't believe I can do something with my life. And I think that's sort of where my heart has been, to show people that, let's use what we have where we are to try and solve the situation. I'm always available to help as far as is possible. Ekasi, when it comes to acting lessons, workshops, that sort of situation, because that's sort of my area of expertise. But the overlying message is to just restore hope to people, to say, try again, do your thing. It's not hard, it's not easy. I mean, it's extremely difficult, but we have to start somewhere. We can't just sit and drive the sun, like they say.
Yeah, I think restoring hope, it's a very important thing, because a hopeless person, they cannot do anything. So as long as you hope, it keeps you encouraged, it keeps you consistent, you overcome hardships, you overcome your situation or your immediate surrounding, whatever you see, because you live in your dreams, you live through your vision. Like every day when you get up, you have a hope that tomorrow things will be better.
Exactly.
So I think that what you want to do for me really resonates with me. And I think even Under Construction speaks to that. We are also trying to make people dream. We are awakening dreams. We are saying, chase your dreams, pursue whatever you want to pursue. It's limitless, go for it. So I think we actually resonate with you. But on another note, is you are a multi-talented person. Like you mentioned it yourself. Like it's so crazy. There's like, you are multifaceted in terms of the entertainment industry, by the way. For those who don't know, the two guys in the entertainment industry. So how then do you discover your gifts? I'm interested in the story of you discovering your gifts. How did you end up discovering your gifts?
A core memory I have that I think never left me was my first time on stage. And that was when I was in Roseneath Primary School in Parktown, aka Hillbrow now. I'm playing. But they had a production of Ushaga. And then they had us grade ones dressed up as either a warthog or a leopard. And you had to make the costume. We were part of making the costume. You had to use paper plates and paint them gray for the warthog, or spotted for the leopard and stuff. And we used black plastic bags and all of that. And I was super fascinated. I remember being super fascinated with the process. Then we had to go on stage and sing the song. How did the leopard get its spot? The story's not being told. It was a whole thing. And it stuck with me. It felt like stage and acting and living out scenarios and things was something that I was supposed to do. And then that was followed by me then moving to a different school for my second grade. And then they had a production of Simba, of The Lion King. And they needed a very, very tiny Simba to sing, his famous song in the movie. I can't wait to be king, right? And one of my friends was chosen as Simba by the teacher, but he just couldn't quite get the performance that the teacher was looking for. And I remember being at the back there with the naughty kids, just playing around, doing, what she's trying to tell him to do. So we out here just doing that at the back. And she said, you, yeah, come do Simba. And that sort of confirmed that, wait, this is something I actually want to do, something I'm in love with. It's nice being here on stage. And so I knew from a very early age that this is something I want to pursue. Unfortunately, my parents at the time were very practical human beings, and they couldn't for the life of them see acting and stage as a career. A hobby, sure. I mean, my parents were awesome, and they let me try and do everything: kung fu, Boy Scouts, football, basketball, they didn't stop me, but they couldn't see any of that as a career. And so they did their best to try and guide me in a different direction, look for more actual jobs, jobs that sort of make sense to them, because my dad was a man in the military, so he wasn't really understanding of the softer parts of life. And so that sort of deterred me from pursuing it further immediately out of school. That's when I took up IT, and I worked in the IT space for like 8 years. But every year I'd always hope and dream, and God would give signs that I haven't forgotten. We are still going in that direction through the years, until finally a role came that made sense for me to then leave my job without affecting my financial obligations at the time. And then the rest, man, was just history. Just looking out for the best possible role fit for myself, challenging myself, understanding what the acting industry in this country actually is, where it takes you, just understanding the dynamics of the game, I think, which is a huge, huge factor in success, in my view.
Yeah, it's so interesting when you spoke about your friend being chosen, this and stuff like that. It just reminds me even of my journey somewhere in church, where I became a substitute for someone, and I was told
Exactly.
that you're not the original. You are
Yeah.
not, when they tell you are not the original, they just so happened that that person didn't have membership,
Yeah.
so you are like the replacement. So it's great, and I ended up, going to Bible school somehow, from not being the original,
Yeah.
I think the person they think I would be a perfect fit to now, ending up in Bible school and doing what I do now. It's just funny. I just related with you, and I like how when you speak about your parents, you're so diplomatic about it. It's like, I do practical people. You don't want to say, they don't want to let me do what I love and stuff like that. Like, the practical people, and these are because he said it so respectfully, which is one thing I really appreciate. And now speaking, because I know, you are a multi-talented person. Like you said, you write, you rap, you act, you direct, and you also present. You're on the official essay chart,
Yes,
which is
sir.
on YouTube. That's one thing I forgot to mention, right? For someone, how are you able, with having so many talents? How are you able to say, okay, I'm focusing on this one, or you don't need, because we live in a world where we're told that jack of all trades, they say, and master of none, which was a bad thing. You need to focus on this one thing, and pursue it with all you have. So how have you managed to navigate being multi-talented? Has that not been a problem?
Sorry, my little one is having a disagreement with her mom, so her speaker volume is always pretty high. Look, I used to think once upon a time that it's beneficial to do everything, and everybody must learn the jack of all trades, right? And then you get told, no, but you must be a specialist. Specialist to win. If you're more focused on a discipline, you're going to do amazing things. Both sides make complete sense. And why I say that is because I think we tend to look at a career and life in one dimension. And by that, I mean, we think life will always be what it is. Sorry, just sorry. Good night time. So she came for a hug.
No problem.
So I was saying we tend to think of life as being this one static thing that will stay there. If you're a specialist, specialize your entire life. But life really, in my experience, doesn't work that way. You are required to be different things in different seasons. You learn different skills due to circumstance, due to many different factors that sort of build you to become this one person. And so I'm not actively looking to do so many different things. It's just these things coming to form one Letuka that I will someday meet at one point. And so it's very difficult to say on either side, yeah, you must specialize or you must be a jack of all trades, because in my life, I was forced to learn all of these things, and I've sort of accepted that all of these things come together to make you one person. You might eventually become an actor almost exclusively, but having been a writer, having presented, will make you a better actor because you understand story beats and you are more confident. You get what I mean? So all of these things sort of work together to build one person who ultimately we meet in the latter stages of life.
I like what you said there, that all of these things work together to form one person, which is Letuka. I think even for me, I'm trying to put it in my life, because I'm doing different things, but it sort of speaks to when we were speaking about calling. There's a friend of mine named Andrew, and I was asking him what's the difference between calling and purpose, and I think it was in 2018 when Bible school, and he said, calling, it's like a vehicle, it carries purpose inside. So you can have different vehicles, but the purpose stays the same. Can have, so calling, you can be an actor, you can be a businessman, you can be a politician, but the purpose remains the same. I think what's important for me, when you remind me of that what's important at the end of the day is, as long as the anchor is, what am I here for? What's my purpose in life and stuff. So
I
with
can
that
give you a
being said,
biblical example. Let me ask you, what was David's dream? King David in the Bible, what was his dream? In his head, what was his calling?
When before he was anointed, or
no,
after?
just generally, when we meet David in the Bible, what is his whole spiel? What is his thing?
I think he loves singing.
The Bible is very deliberate in telling us.
I think he loves singing. I think his dream is to be an entertainer.
Precisely. That's what David wanted to do with his life. David would guard sheep, run to the town square to go DJ, play the harp at the time. So my dude wanted to be a DJ. He wanted to be a musician.
I love it.
Do we understand? David's purpose was to be king. But David's dream was still realized as a musician, because as we speak, there is not one living or past lived human being who's been quoted more than David through Psalms. He's created more songs than anybody else. And so his dream still came true. His calling in his head came true. But his purpose superseded that, which was for him to be king. Yeah, just wanted to share that.
I love how you brought it into context. I love your example of he'd run and be a DJ, because it speaks to now. That's something that I'm gonna use in my speaking. I think that's dope. And I think you have muted there, which leads to my question, where I want to ask you about, what does being a creative mean to you?
It's a cliche answer, but it's true. Our creator is a very creative human being, and by virtue of us being made in his image, we are all creators. The problem is how we define creatives. We tend to limit it to the people who paint pictures, who tell stories, who dance, who create. Now, thankfully, it's moved into the tech space. Yes, the developers of these beautiful apps, the Mark Zuckerbergs and whatever's, but creating is something each and every one of us are doing almost subconsciously. We just don't recognize it. If you take our parents, our mothers, who taught them how to do the things they did, to have families survive on 3,000 on a good day, in most cases 300 randa, but we never go to bed hungry. They buy you school shoes, they buy you all of this is creation. There's a certain degree of creativity that is required for day-to-day living to deal with the circumstances we face. And so creativity to me is just living. it's just acknowledging the situation and living it. That's it. Each of us are creatives. It's just how we define it. And it's about being deliberate, about looking for the creativity in situations.
Wow, I never saw it like that. You know, I think it's sparked with as long as that you use our mothers, right? As long as you are in a space where you are found with difficulty, when you become a solution, or when you come up with a solution, that's creativity, you know. And I don't think most of us look at creativity that way. I think we limit creativity to arts, you know, in the entertainment space.
Yeah.
We never think about business people, even a teacher, you know, and someone that's a professional as someone that's creative. And it's crazy because I'm reading a book about that. I think it's the art of creative thinking or something like that speaks on creativity and how you can take something that that can take something that you learn from being a doctor and apply it maybe in acting, and you know,
exactly.
And yeah. So I wanted to ask you, since I spoke about a book, what are some of the books that you read to sharpen, or let me say the things that you do to make sure that you stay sharp in terms of the entertainment industry, in terms of what you do?
Well, I think there was a point in my life where I stopped reading. It just wasn't deliberate. It's just something, I don't know, it just so happened I stopped reading. And I started reading again, and I realized how much I was lacking at that time, you know. And so reading is a very important tool to keep your mind going, to stay sharp. I mean, the last book I read was The Fourth Dimension by Dr. David Yonggi Cho. And before that, it was The Celestine Prophecy, which is not a biblical or a Christian book, by the way, because I know as Christians, we don't want to read anything but all of these different things will give you a perspective that might even sharpen your faith. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. But I also watch a lot of movies and TV series or whatever, because I'm always looking to learn. And I, as an actor, am not afraid to copy. I am not ashamed. I will do it. I pick up the technique and I'm going to use it. What he did with his eyebrows, I'm going to. And so all of these things, again, they come together, and I learn a lot from movies and stuff. I also hang around with a lot of people in the space, and so I'm always inspired. You know, that's another thing I think that needs to happen very often for people who are trying to build something. You need to find yourself in that space as much as possible. Um, it does something inside you that builds, that makes this whole thing familiar. It makes your dream more familiar. You know what I mean? And so it draws you closer to it. And so find yourself, and locating myself in spaces with people who are doing the things I want to do is very important to me. But most importantly, I think, is being home. It's very important to be grounded and to understand what matters all the time, you know. And so when you're with family, when I'm with my wife and my kids and stuff, it calms the mind, it calms the spirit, and it gives you a solid reminder of why you're doing the things that you do. So yeah, that's just me.
Wow. Oh, you said a mouthful there. So if I were to ask you about hanging, because one of the things that I think someone was telling me this 2 days ago, the same thing that you're telling me, that one of the things that I should do is hang around like people who are of the same where I want to be eventually. So how important is it for one to invest, you know, in being in places where, like, maybe going to a networking event, or maybe paying for something that is going to upskill you?
Well, it's very important, man, because it does a number of different things for you in your journey. Being in that space shows you the cost of being in that. It'll show you the cost of your dream very clearly. It'll make it very vivid. And I don't just mean in financial terms. When you step on a set, when I first stepped on a set and I saw the things that I saw let's look at the financial side. I saw the type of cameras required, the number of people that are making what we see on the TV come to life, the process that's involved, the rigmarole of the whole thing to make it what it is, and so you quickly see, a lot goes into this. But also you pick up on the different spirits and the behaviors and the words that are thrown around in the industry. And so you get a sense of the toll it will take on you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, to be in the space daily. And so you understand, okay, cool. So I have to be careful of the following, of this, of that, of that. And so being in that space is very important for that aspect also. But also, like I said, when I first introduced the concept of being in the space, is the inspiration. There's no substitute for that. You can't exchange the things that you get on the inside by being in the space you want to be. There's no substitute, there's no escaping that. And so it's very important to also be there for that. And it does a lot, man. We could talk about this for the whole night, but it's very important to be in that space, and not just in the space, to be around people who do that. For the longest time, a friend of mine who was in the game would always invite me to these hiking sessions. No, man, bro, just come hike. And I'd be like, hey, man, I'll see it. I'll see it. No, listen. Yeah, next time. You know what I mean? But one day he got frustrated and he showed me why he wants me to come to these hikes. He showed me a list of the names in the hiking group. And I was like, I've been missing out on talking to, on meeting, on networking with, on. Do you know what I mean? And so it slowed down my career projection. Do you get, just by me saying, nah, I don't want to be in, I don't want to. And so it's very, very important.
Wow. And I deliberately asked that because it's something that I'm recently learning, and being intentional. I think I used to do it, but I was not, intentional about investing and being in certain spaces, no matter the cost, because I want to grow and to be like, you know what, I need to be in this space. And no matter what it takes, I'll pay. And I don't think a lot of us realize that it costs to make connection. It costs, to make your dream come true. It's not gonna come cheap. Not even. I like what you said. It's not even about money only, but it's also about you get to see when you're there what it takes. You get to learn from observing those who went before you, and you get to take those lessons, and apply them, and you avoid some of the mistakes that they've made. And yes. I think that's that for me. I'm learning. And I hope everyone that's watching as well is really, really benefiting from the content that we dashing out right now. And yeah, I want to ask you about some of the directing you've done, because that's behind the scenes. I want to know how some of the things that we see. So what are some of the shows that you've directed?
No.
Yeah.
I haven't directed any big time shows, but we directed a piece for the Department of Arts and Culture, and a few other things in the digital space. As far as writing, we've written a few short stories. I'm right now writing Thuso, and yeah, that's where we are.
What's that about?
I'm hoping to complete a draft for my first feature by the end of the year.
Okay, but I was going to ask you more about what you're writing currently, but I guess it's still in the process. So
Yeah. So it's just the planning stages of the feature that I'm trying to put together with Discover TV. But currently it's the scripts for Thuso.
Okay. So I'd like to know now, because I know you are on SABC One's Makoti season 2,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You're on the official charts. And
Mm-hmm.
just that I forgot that one of the shows that you were on, I think the first one I showed was on ETV. I just forgot the name of the show. And then
Yeah, Gold
second,
Diggers, yeah.
Waters Gold Diggers.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you call you were on Moja as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when Moja started, before it was this big, when it was
Yeah.
just starting out. Today, when you speak about Moja,
It's
everyone
something
knows
else.
it's something else. It's like
Yeah.
the numbers they pull. So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to ask you about the experiences from landing your first role, maybe on ETV to Moja,
Mm-hmm.
now being on Makoti season. What are some of the stories that you can share with us? What are some of the experiences that you enjoyed, and some of the lows maybe you can share?
Yeah. Sure. Um, I think with Gold Diggers, and that was the first time on a television show, locally. I didn't know what to expect. Um, I I was very unsure. I was lacking confidence, but I was super happy and excited that I got this role. And I got there, and so the role I was playing was that of this car hijacker kingpin guy, and I had to hijack a car. I had to steal a car, right? And so we go through it, and the thing with South African television shows is everything, and I mean everything in the back is quick moves. There is no time for playing. There is no time for games. We move. There is a lot to get done in a day. And so there's no time to cater to stragglers. If you don't know what you're doing, get out immediately. Get offset. Learn at school. Don't come and learn on set. That's the one thing that I quickly picked up there. And so I was this unconfident actor, and I'm being asked to make the tire spin, to cock a gun, to do all of these things I've never done before. And it has to happen in real time, and you don't have a lot of time to try and figure it out. You better do it. And so I walked out of that experience realizing that I have to sharpen certain things without anybody telling me. Figure out how guns work. If that's the sort of role you're going to be chasing in future, you better learn different life skills. You better maybe pick up some combat training, learn how to play an instrument, learn how to do all of these different things. I picked that up almost immediately after that. And then I did a few ads after that, and ads are a different animal on their own. It's repetition. You're gonna do the same thing for 2 days straight or a day straight, and you're gonna deliver it in so many different nuances that you're going to be spinning by the end of the night. Do you know what I mean? And so I got to Hope, which was a telenovela which launched Moja Love at the time, and I was playing a pastor's child. This is a church story now, and this is a world I'm very familiar with, and so I was comfortable. But I was working with some really, really deep actors, some superstar, legendary performers in Bab Nimrod Nkosi and Oshamane Mtinta. And I learned through them the power of mentoring, because they took me under their wing, and they were very accommodating. They had different teaching styles, but you made sure to learn from them, and they'd always give you that room to learn. They took pleasure and joy in developing other actors. It's not a competition. We're all telling this one story, and we're gonna help you tell it as best as you can. And so I found the nurturing side of the game, and I also learned the power of respect. You show respect to your elders, and there are many different ways to do that in set. You'll find set is a lot like the army, in that there's a hierarchy. Things have to be done in a specific way. There is due process, and if you stick to that, and you learn to respect those who came before you, and learn from them as much as you can. Ask the relevant questions. I think you'll do good for yourself, you know. And that's just been the sort of story of my career. Whatever set I go to, I'm always looking to learn. I'm always seeing what I can take from the people that I'm working with, because there's always something to take. There have definitely been low times as well where, you have to do a scene and we expect tears now. Yeah, there's no, but where you are mentally at the time, after 14, 16 scenes that day, I'm drained. I don't want to do this, and so it doesn't come out the way. And then you get so down on yourself. You get mad driving all the way home, but this is part and parcel of the game, man.
Wow. So with the current with what you do, like the Makoti, what that you are on, and being a presenter on the official charts, what can you say about those two projects that you're currently on? How's the experience? What are you loving about them?
So what I love about the official SA Chart show is Discover TV is a place where you learn. We're all building, we play. You learn through play, And so it's indaba of figure it out. Come together, let's put our minds together. What do we feel like shooting? How do we want it? What does it look? Here's a studio. Let's go play. And so I think that comes off when you watch the show. It's just easy vibes. It's us being ourselves and having a lot of fun with the space. With Imakoti, again, if you're acting, you're learning from the people that you're working with, and there are some scary performers over there. You have legends on legend. Do you know what I mean? And so you are always learning, you're always looking with you. You learn their personalities. You sit with them at the table. You understand what informs their thinking, what stories they have to tell to share with you, And Makoti also, I was working with some of the people I've worked with before, and so it was home. We were all friends and chilling, and it's a safe space, And then you make other good friends, like new good friends, people you saw on TV now, who, you're chilling with, you're talking to, and it's so awesome. Because I'm still a fanboy at heart, but I could do this forever. I'm still a fan. Fest. So I'll fanboy fest.
I wouldn't lie. It sounds funny.
Like, oh my God, look at who I'm looking at. First, before all the other stuff. And so that's also the fun for me.
Mm-hmm. I'll pretend for days. I'll calm myself, act like I know what I'm doing. But I continue.
Yeah. No, man. I think, and also with Makoti, we have a production office that's very supportive of who you are and your craft. Ayanda Halimana, who's the showrunner and the head writer, she's very deliberate about understanding who you are as a person, and getting to know you better, so that even as the story progresses, she knows what she's working with, and she's so supportive, man. And that's always a beautiful thing to have on a set.
I love what's happening here today, because I've got to learn about the behind the scenes, and what when you spoke even about gold diggers, where you didn't know anything. I think most of the people who watch TV want to become actors, like you. If they were not going to hear this information, they were going to be shocked, And I think some people now are going to be better prepared when they go to certain places, because they know, what, you better go there prepared to do any and everything. If you're going to learn how to handle that gun and stuff like that. If you don't smoke, if you don't smoke, just figure it out. Just figure it out. It's acting at the end of the day. So, I don't know why I mentioned smoking. People are gonna kill me. Christians don't know me. I'm gonna, you're high, please. But yeah, thank you. So, like you said, it's I watch a couple of the videos, even the latest trailer that you guys dropped of official SA Chart. It's pretty cool. It seems like something fun. And sometimes I'm like, is this thing not on MTV? Like, it looks like it's something that is really on. I won't lie, like with the background of the studio that you guys have and the way things are, it's so well put and professionally done that you wouldn't think it's a YouTube thing. So that one is that's what I noticed on that. It's very, very dope. But what would be your message to the youth of South Africa? So
Hey, they need to give me a message. I'm one of you. We are in this together. We are seeing Flames song. You tell me what's going on, because wow, that's all I can say.
Wow,
we need a meeting, all of us, so you can tell me what's going on, because I don't know. I am not sure right now. And for real, that's just the way it is, man. Like we are in this together. It's up to us to come together and figure it out. There's no leader, there's no hero who's going to come and save us. It's here. We have to figure this thing out.
Hey, you heard the guys. The message to the youth of South Africa: we are in this together. As it's all when I come with the music. You know, it's funny because a week back, 2 weeks back, we had Tabs, and I was asking him the same thing. He's like, "Yo, I'll leave that for Tembekwai because now I need that." So as well as I'm laughing, I'm reminded of someone that came through. That consecutively, the two people are telling me the same thing. Like, yo, no, it's but hot. I love the honesty. I really love the honesty, you know. And that if there's one thing that stood out for me about the interviews, just the honesty of when you were scared and when you didn't know anything about the game, and right now you're like, yo, it's okay, we're going through the most. But yeah, man, we have sort of come to the conclusion of the show. But before we go, there's a part of the show that I really, really love, you know. It goes like, if you had a song that could describe your life right now, what would the song be? And you're going to sing the chorus for us. I mean, you've been rapping. I don't expect, I expect that clean. It's either you're going to give us a verse or it's at least you're going to sing the chorus for us. But a song that describes your life right now, where you're at.
All right. This is a very, very special song with a very, very deep message. And I think it speaks to the heart of every South African right now, especially the youth, with all of the things that are happening. Ngceli Soft Life by No More. Gaining us by living aphandle, not soft life. That's all.
You're gonna sing the chorus.
No, sivulele ningasvaleli ngaphandle nathi sifuna ukuphila soft life.
Soft life. And that's it from us, guys, and from Letuka. Niggas valling apart, guys. We are all seeking the soft life. And as you've heard the journey of being an actor in the SA entertainment industry or television industry, we've heard the highs and the lows. I believe we've learned the most. And like I said, I appreciate, bro, that the honesty, you know. I've learned a lot from your openness and some of the things that I didn't know, and I know people who are watching didn't know. Thank you for coming through. And for those who are watching every Sunday, 5 p.m., we are back under Construction SA. Thank you for watching. My name is Thuso Motsomane, and we are out.